Welcome everybody to our Computing Education Research Seminar tonight. This is in our, I can't quite believe it, our seventh series. And this series or this year we're talking about teaching about AI and data science. And today I have to say I'm very excited because we've got Franz Jetzinger from TUM, the Technical University of Munich, who I've met before at conferences, and I love the work that's done at TUM. And he's our speaker today, and I'm very excited to hear about how he supports teachers to learn how to teach about AI. He's a high school teacher of computer science, physics, and music, as well as being an active researcher in computing education at TUM, the Technical University of Munich. And since 2021, his research has focused on improving computing education through the design and evaluation of professional development programs that help teachers to be able to teach about AI in their classrooms. And this is such an important topic. Franz today is going to explore two key challenges in integrating AI into K-12 CS curricula, the need for better teacher preparation and the lack of evidence-based theories on teaching AI. In the first part of his talk, he will present the implementation and evaluation of a scalable professional development program designed to train teachers, and that's despite limited resources and their diverse backgrounds. And in the second part, he will share findings from an action research project that examines how teachers bring AI into their classrooms. I think I'm really excited to hear about that proper practice of what really can happen. So we're really excited to have Franz with us today for him to share his research and practical insights. So over to you, Franz.
It's a great honor for me to speak here in this research seminar series. And as I've been just introduced, I don't need to say much more about myself. So to sum up, I'm a CS teacher who really love to teach. I do this for passion. And that is also why I, for example, write textbooks in Germany to improve the CS education. And at the moment, I have the great opportunity to work here in Munich with a computing education research group under the supervision of Professor Tilman Michaeli. And that allows me to approach my goal of improving CS education from a research perspective, which is really great, I think. As this is a series on AI in education, I don't need to tell you that AI is a very important topic. You know that we use AI systems almost daily, and also students use it almost daily. And therefore, it is crucial that we prepare students for a reflective and a responsible use of this technology, but also to enable them to actively shape their digital world around them in designing AI systems. And that is why we have to bring learning about AI into CS lessons. And maybe, as you also know, this is not a highway, but there are some challenges in that way. And I come up with this picture of the mountain not only because I'm here in Bavaria near to the Alps, but this is something that we are challenged all over the world. And especially three questions are crucial there. The first one is, of course, what to teach in this new topic, then how to teach it, but of course, how to prepare teachers for this new topic, because we don't have, like in other topics in CS education, we have a really great experience from the last decades of teaching. We don't have that here with AI. So these three questions have to be answered, and let us take let's take a little time to look at these three questions and what we know from research so far. So concerning the question what to teach, we have different approaches to define AI competencies. You all maybe know the most cited paper by Long and Magerku, but also Turetsky with the big 5 ideas. There are then national guidelines, especially as well here in Germany. We have new standards for CS education published recently where AI competencies are integrated. And then there are a lot of approaches to design curricula, often with a co-designing aspect. So for for the very moment, we can somehow say we have something to work with on this question, what to teach. Stays the other two questions, how to prepare teacher. What do we know from there? We know that it's not enough to just put out a curriculum and then hoping that the teachers will teach it proper. We know we have to train these teachers. And we know also principles of effective teaching inside and outside CS. But we know that PD, I abbreviation now professional development as with a PD, that PD is very much dependent on the content. And regarding teaching about AI, we have a few reports only on PD. So we can state there's a lack of evidence on designing principles for effective PD and teaching AI. So we have to go into detail there and investigate that. State the question of how to teach AI. What do we know here? We have many experience reports on materials and tools that are tested in the practice, but only a few of them report a measuring of the effectiveness of the learning of the students, and mostly it's on a specific tool than the measuring or on a certain approach. And we have also some approaches to identify students' conceptions about AI. What is missing so far is that we lack a systematical research on teaching and learning processes in K-12 AI education. There's nothing like this. So we have there are two gaps that we try to fulfill, try to fill, and in this my talk, I will share you some answers that we found so far concerning these two questions. But first, let's dive a bit into the national context as maybe always in an educational talk. What have we for answers in Bavaria, especially on the question what to teach? Maybe a few of you know that Germany is divided into 16 states, and in each state there is a different school system, and education is very heterogeneous. So that we can only speak for Bavaria here. In Bavaria, computer science is a compulsory subject for about 20 years. It depends a bit on the type of school and the pathway within the school, but we have a long traditional of computer science education. And recently, we got a new compulsory CS lesson in year 11. It was introduced, and it was not that AI fitted very well in the curriculum before or after. It was more a kind of political decision that we say, wow, we have now this new compulsory lessons in year 11, and let's take AI into this. This is a selling point for in politics. And how does this curriculum look like? There are a bunch of competencies. Don't worry, you don't have to read them all. I take you to on a short tour. What we figured out is the typical approach to teach this curriculum. First, the teachers usually discuss approaches to defining AI with the students based on phenomena on students' daily life. Then they introduce basic ideas of AI methods, that is including machine learning versus a knowledge-based approach. They usually use some unplugged games here to do this. And then go a bit deeper with in one selected machine algorithm. The curriculum says either k nearest neighbor or decision tree learning, and watch how this works. That usually also can be done unplugged still, and then implement this algorithm using appropriate tool. For example, orange data mining would be a tool for that, and analyze the influence of the data and hyperparameters on the results of this model. The students also get a short introduction in what is an artificial neuron, regarding also watching the delta learning rule, and the basic structure of a neural network is taught then. What the teachers often do throughout the whole sequence is to discuss and assess the opportunities and risk for individuals and society that brings AI system with us. So we in Bavaria, we have this very straightforward curriculum that is given by the ministry, and it stays for us the two questions: how to prepare and how to teach. Let's look at how we could prepare teachers for this curriculum. We first have to look who are these teachers. And I told you that educational systems are very heterogeneous in Germany, but teacher education is almost the same within whole Germany. So if you want to become a teacher, you need to go to university and study 4 to 5 years. And during that study, you have very deep content knowledge in 2 subjects. In terms of ECTS points, speaking is usually about 100 ECTS points per subject. And you also have studies in pedagogical knowledge and pedagogical content knowledge. And after that, you even have to go 2 years to preparatory school where you deepen your pedagogical content knowledge and pedagogical knowledge. So to sum up, teachers in Germany usually are very well prepared in terms of education and teaching. Now regarding our PD for AI, as this is a compulsory curriculum, there are a lot of teachers to educate, and only in our area within Bavaria, there were up to 500 teachers who has to be trained. And yeah, I told you that they are very well educated, but as we lack a lot of CS teachers in the last year, we kind of qualified different teachers from different subjects through an extensive 2-year PD that didn't go through the regular studying. So and this is half are very well prepared, and half have only this extensive 2-year in-service PD for becoming a CS teacher. And of course, as you also may know, regarding AI, all the teachers have little prior experience. It was neither part of their CS education, doesn't matter which path they took to become a teacher, nor a topic so far in the classroom. And on top, we have the challenge that we had just over a year until the teaching started, when we started to designing and developing this PD. And we have limited personnel resources. So we started in our designing this PD. We started as we usually start when we try to teach. We come up with learning objectives, and to go beyond the Bavarian curriculum, we analyzed different frameworks and come up with certain learning objectives for our PD. So we have then all these 3 ingredients, that is the learning objectivity, the design principles for effective PD, like self-directed and active learning or collaboration between the participants, and our challenges and conditions, and we brew then our AI PD out of that could then hopefully help our Bavarian CS teachers in preparing the lesson and then bringing the essentials of AI to the students. But let's take a look how we brew this drink in detail to address both the design principles and the challenges. We come up with certain principles, ideas for our PD. We first decided to use a blended learning format because this would allow us to address design principles like self-directed and active learning, but also collaboration between the participants, and at the same time address, I think, almost all of our challenges, but especially the need for scalability and our limited resources. Next, we come up with the idea of using what we call the pedagogical double-decker. That means that teachers are taught in the PD with the same materials they can later then use in the classroom. Further, we developed an advanced organizer to give the teacher a broad overview over this topic and help them, support them when learning in this learning with this new, very new topic. And we set up a Moodle course, and for the few who are not in the education context, Moodle is a digital learning environment where we can share materials and enable communication between participants. And fortunately, when we decided to use this, and especially the blended learning format, we know that some guys of our research group recently designed and developed a massive open online course about learning about AI. And so we analyzed this MOOC, and it turns out it fit very well because most of our defined learning objectives were covered through the MOOC. And therefore, we put this MOOC in the middle and put an attendance day at the beginning and at the end. And the teachers went through this process in cohorts of 30 teachers. At the first attendance day, we just trying to get to know each other. We did some playful beginning. We showed them the advanced organizer and motivate them to learn more about AI. And then they have to complete the MOOC. The MOOC is, it has 3 units of 3 hours each. That is 10 hours. But as this PD was for in-service teachers, we gave them 3 to 6 weeks to complete the MOOC. And then come all the teachers in one cohort come together to us in attendance. Examples, a specific thing about the decision tree learning or K-nearest neighbor. But also we share them some practical implementations to use in the classroom, and we have some kind of modular structure to meet the needs of each cohort, for example. We evaluate this PD in regarding the content knowledge by using a so-called progress test. Progress test is developed for a longitudinal testing to measure and track person's learning and over the time. And we did this. The teachers should do this before the PD and after the PD. We used 15 questions out of a bigger test that will be published soon. And at the end, the teachers didn't get feedback on individual answers, but only overall on their results. Here I brought for you the results from the pre-test, and what you see is that this heterogeneity we expected, we also see it in the data. And what kind of surprised us, that the first two cohorts, that is the red thing on the left, there were some teachers who really know very much about AI before even coming to our PD. And we some kind of think that that's maybe some early adopters that are very motivated and did things before the lesson prepared in terms of AI. We also tried to match the pre and the post test, but due to technical issues and as well as because many teachers didn't submit the result at the end, they only made the test, but then the submission they don't make. We have not so great sample here in regarding this matching, but you can see from that the PD was effective regarding the content knowledge. And concerning the whole PD, it seems like the teachers were satisfied. And one teacher told me after the PD, I think I'm very well prepared now in terms of the curriculum. But at this point of time, I think this was a very theoretical statement. And it need to be investigated further because nobody knows how this curriculum could be implemented in the classroom. Even we could not provide the teacher with experience regarding the implementation. So to do a kind of long-term evaluation, we designed interview study and we tried to professional development program contributed to the successful implementation and which one were perceived as insufficient. So this is a work on progress. So far, we interviewed 9 teachers 1 to 2 years after they have participated in the PD. And we want to do a qualitative content analysis on that. As this is, as I said, an ongoing process, I can only give you a quick glimpse of what we can see in the data so far. Overall, the teachers reported that they're being very well prepared in terms of content knowledge as well as pedagogical content knowledge, and they feel taken by the hand, what I think is very important as well, that they felt not left alone. Beneficial, they reported the provided materials, especially the unplugged materials, and even some teachers said that it was good to provide them more material than necessary because then they could choose for their lesson and design their own individual lesson out of that. One thing that was what was insufficient with our PD was that we didn't support anything in the direction of designing of learning assessment. That was yeah, we don't cover this. We didn't cover this. And some teachers said that maybe presenting new content or material would better be in the context of of familiar tools than in new tools. Okay, so zoom out again a bit to our great picture. We have climbed the first 2 peaks and have already some glimpse of how to teach, but we still lack the systematical investigation on this question. And therefore, we come up with an action research approach with the main goal of developing theories about learning and teaching processes. Was taught then for the first year, and we took the approach by Alks and Tralle, who I mean, action research is always cyclic and trying to bridge the gap between theory and practice. And Alks and Tralle defined these 4 steps: developing teaching materials, testing them, evaluating them, and reflecting, revision them, and then again testing them, and so on. And we are now in the first cycle of this action research. And we are more on the research driven action research for this first cycle. That is why we come up with a research question. We come up with 2 research questions for the first cycle. That is first, which topic specific difficulties can teachers identify among their students after they have been taught AI? And second, how does teachers modify their teaching in order to address these difficulties? How does it look like this first cycle in detail to get answers to this first research question? We started with 14 teachers that individually planned the lesson and taught them in 26 classes. We developed some instrument to collect data that on the first side would be a protocol to reflect on each lesson. And we got it back from 9 teachers completed. That is something we expected because this is very time consuming. And we also developed a test to assess students' learning. We have their results from, let's say, about 200 students. And then we interviewed these 9 teachers where we get the protocol back after they have taught the whole sequence. And 4 of them gave us also teaching materials. So out of these 9 teachers, there were 1 female, and they have different experience in teaching and regarding their education. But all of them were very motivated teachers, of course, because they participated in our project. We then analyzed the data following the coding processes of grounded theory. That meant that we had different coding phases and using constant comparison all the time, writing a lot of memos and try to triangulate between these different data sources. To answer the second question of how teachers modify the teaching, we will conduct a workshop with 6 out of these 9 teachers that will be next week, and I will share the teachers the results we get from the first question, and I will also share these results now to you. So we were looking for topic-specific difficulties, but we also find non-topic specific difficulties, and I want to tell you what they are, because maybe you're familiar with them. First, teachers reported that students have insufficient programming skills. Doesn't matter which programming language and through different aspects of the curriculum. Then, of course, what we also see in CS lessons, this great heterogeneity. And mathematics was a thing because first teachers that it's difficult to teachers, and second, some teachers are afraid when they see mathematics formula. Regarding the topic-specific difficulties, we came up with 4 key findings. So what we found out that students seem to have difficulties in evaluate tasks for potential use of AI approaches. We see that, for examples, in our test, there was the question for which of the following tasks can AI approaches be used beneficially, and it seems like that the students also think that tasks that usually are solved with classical algorithms, they also think that AI approaches are suitable for that. And we identified a few reasons for this. First of all, it turns out that maybe students are not aware that AI systems have to deal with uncertainty. Out of this almost 200 students didn't know that AI systems need to deal with uncertainty. Then the teachers reported us that students at the beginning of the lessons overestimate the capabilities of AI system, and that they also reported that the teachers the students have the perception that AI approaches can only used for because 2 teachers reported that this is also a difficult task for teachers to say what is an AI problem so far. We derived 2 hypotheses out of this. The first thing is that maybe the teaching lead the students to believe that AI can be used everywhere, because they started with this AI is only that what we know from ChatGPT and so on, and they even think that strong AI already exists, and then at the end they think everything is AI. And that is due to the fact that teachers do not enough go in detail about what is an AI problem. That leads me directly to 2 implications for the practice. Teach what an AI problem is, and analyze as much as you can real system for the potential of AI approaches, and identify underlying AI concepts. But also maybe look at systems that are no AI systems, and identify reason why they are not AI systems. So we stay in this framework of finding reasons, hypothesis, implications. And the second finding is there seems to be difficulties in the distinction between knowledge-based and data-based approaches. And the reasons there are, for example, the language that reported the teachers, that students think everything with data is data-based, of course. And also one teacher reported that the students have the perception that a fully trained machine learning system then gets a knowledge-based system, which is very much in line with the thing that decision tree learning does not appear to be intelligent for some students, but rather rule-based, because there are rules and then we split out the data concerning the rules. Again, two hypotheses we come up then. First thing is maybe decision tree learning as an example for data-driven approach is not a good example in terms of this distinction between knowledge-based and data-based. And maybe there's also a conceptual change needed regarding the knowledge-based system. Implications for the practice would be when teaching decision trees, emphasize the difference between data-based and knowledge-based trees, and maybe also connect this to this uncertainty, what we saw in the previous slide. And of course, connect with students' perceptions that they have concerning this knowledge-based. The validation of AI models and analysis of the influence of data and hyperparameters on the results seem to be difficult for students for certain reasons. First of all, we saw difficulties in applying this machine learning algorithm like decision tree, difficulties with certain concepts such as information gain and so on. But we also, the teachers reported very often that they used the orange data mining, but this was not an appropriated low floor, high ceilings tool. That means the students need too much time and too much explanation for that. So bringing up one question that is there any low floor, high ceilings tool to teach AI? And maybe teaching doesn't get to the point where students design meaningful AI systems, and I think this is a very important thing to do in computer science education design systems. So for the practice implementation, implications would be when working with high thing tools such as ORing, allow sufficient time and provide special scaffolding. And I think it's important to use both well-prepared small data sets to go through this whole process of even validate things, but also then use real data to have some meaningful artifacts. And the last finding was that it was difficult to students to apply context to the real world example, particularly in the concept of reinforcement learning and neural networks. And that is one reason for that is maybe that the gap between the pedagogically reduced examples and the reality is too big, that the students couldn't connect or the teachers couldn't connect with it. Mathematics is maybe a point concerning the neural networks, but also the curriculum here in Bavaria, I think, does not support the development of a basic understanding of a neural network. And our hypothesis there, or questions we come up with, is the first thing, the question how to bridge this gap between the pedagogical examples and the reality. And maybe CS teachers put too much emphasis on the functionality and not so much on the contexts. Implications could be focus more on the how a neural network works than on its structure, allow sufficient time for neural networks and reinforcement learning, and always connect to real AI systems. We know then what to teach. We had already curricula that could be successfully implemented in the classroom. We come up with this effective teaching using this blended learning format and the pedagogical double-decker, and our findings on non-specific difficulties show that teaching about AI needs to build on previous finding about teaching and learning CS, but needed regarding AI difficulties. So if you want to go in detail, this is the paper where the first part is based on. And yeah, thank you to all my colleagues who supported me in this work and the preparation of this. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Franz. That's an absolutely wonderful presentation. Can we give him a round of applause, please? I do think it was a wonderful presentation, Franz, and I think it's just amazing to see all the work that Tillman, Sven, and the others did literally 6, 7, 8 years ago now has kind of made its way. It shows how a body of research kind of evolves into research to practice. It's really wonderful. Very excited to say that Tuesday, the 11th of March, we've got Lucas Hopper and Carsten Schultz from Paderborn University who are going to be talking about developing data awareness and understanding and navigating the data-driven world. So just like it's amazing to see the work at TUM with Franz and Tillman. It's great to see the work that's being done by Carsten's group. Really excited to see that. So hopefully see you at the next one and have a good evening.